Parshas Vayetze, something very nice from the Rebbe's father, Rabbi Levi Yitzchok Zatzal. Parshas Vayetze is the Parsha that Shabbos in the year Tov Reish Pei Tes was the Rebbe's Ufruf in Varsha, and the Chasne was on Tuesday afterwards, Yud Dalet Kislev. Yom Shlishi was on a Tuesday, Yud Dalet Kislev. On Vov Kislev that year, Tov Reish Pei Tes, 1929, the end of 28, Rabbi Levi Yitzchok sent a letter to the Rebbe, and he writes to him that there are 5 hints in the Parshas Vayetze, the Shabbos of your Ufruf, about your Chasna, how it's all hinted in the Parsha. I would like to share with you the 5 things, and also share over the years Hasidim looked based on hints from the Rebbe and also from the Frierdiker Rebbe, another 2 very interesting hints in the Parshas Vayetze with the Chasna of the Rebbe. So first, Rabbi Levi says like this: Parshas Vayetze talks about a Chasna. Yankov married Rachel and Leah. So that's the first thing. On Nisuyin, the subject of marriage is in this Parshas Vayetze. And not every Parsha has the subject of marriage. Over here, Vayetze does. Number 2, Yankov was the third. There was Avram, Yitzchok for Yankov, and in the Medrash it says he was Bechir Shabbos. He was the chosen one, the most important one, in a certain sense, because from him all his children, Mitose Shlema, all his children, the 12 tribes and Dinah, from them started the entire Jewish people. So we have the third. Says Rabbi Levi Yitzchok, this is hints also. By you, your Chasna is going to be on the 3rd day, Yom Shlishi. Continues Rabbi Levi Yitzchok. In the Parsha also hints the day, 14. Yankov tells his father-in-law Lavan, I have worked to you for 14 years for my wife, Rachel and Leah. So we see the number 14 in connection to marriage. Also over here, Yaakov got married, the Rebbe got married to Rebbe Zachai Mushka on Yud Dalet Kislev on the 14th. Then continues Rabbi Levi Yitzchok, the 4th remes. Says in Medrash that there are, in this week's Parashas Vayetze, there are 2 types of shidduchim. One type of shidduch is where the kala comes to the chassan, similar to what we had in Parshas Chayesora. Rivka came to Yitzchok. Then you have where the chassan goes to the kala. And over here we have Yaakov. He was the chassan who left Be'eshava, his father's house, and he went to Choron, to the house of the kala. Also over here writes Rabbi Levi Yitzchok, the chassan too, he left his father's home and he went to Mokem HaKala to have the wedding where the kala was at that time in Varsha. This was the 4th interesting hint, how the same shidduch in the Parsha is similar how the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin. And then the Rebbe's father concludes that by that chasna you see by Yaakov, his parents, Yitzchok and Rivka, was not there. And still in all, the brachas that they gave, as it says in this week's Parsha, Vayifrei Sa'ish Ma'od Ma'od, that Yaakov's success bursted out in a extremely successful way. Ma'od Ma'od, very, very much. Also over here, wishes Rabbi Levi Yitzchok to the Rebbe, your chasna too, don't feel bad, even though Rabbi Levi Yitzchok and his Rebbetzin, Rebbe Chana, whatever the reason was, they couldn't go out of Russia, whatever, as the history goes. And don't feel bad, because we're giving you all the brachas, and you also will be Vayifres Oish Moed Moed. You will have great success. These are the 5 interesting remozim that Rabbi Levi Yitzchok finds in the Parsha. Chassidim, over the years, they looked more deeper based on what the Rabbi Levi Yitzchok says, and they found another 2 interesting remozim. Recently, not too long ago, there was printed letters from the Frierdiker Rebbe, Chelik Tezvov, volume Tezvov, on Omud Lamed, on page 30, there's a very interesting letter that the Frierdiker Rebbe writes to Rebbe Chaim Mushke, his daughter, written in the summer Tov Reish Pei Gimel. And he writes that the Rebbe's name, he came to us, they were in a certain town in Russia, and the Rebbe went to visit there. I think it's called Lisvaldastik, Valdachak, something like that. And the Frierdiker writes, great, that we learned the Hilchos, we learned who the Rebbe is, the time that he spent with us. With great praises, the Frierdiker Rebbe speaks about the Rebbe. And that was the first time that the Rebbe came to visit the Frierdiker Rebbe about this shidduch, about his own shidduch. And also, it's known that the famous chassid, Rabbi Altois, his name was Eliyahu Chaim Altois, El Chaim they called him. And he, by the way, was the the Rebbe's shomer, the week of the Chasana. And he writes in his diary two interesting things. Number one, he saw this letter that I mentioned earlier. It was on the table over there the day of the Rebbe's Chasana that he saw it. And also he says, that summer, I was the one, he said, who the Frierdiker Rebbe asked me to introduce and tell the Rebbe that about the Shidduch, and he should go visit this town where the Frierdiker Rebbe was in the summer Tov Reish Pei Gimel. So we see an interesting thing that the Shidduch started officially in the year Tov Reish Pei Gimel. Now if you count, how many years was it to the Chasana? Let's count together. Tov Reish Pei Gimel, Tov Reish Pei Dalet, Tov Reish Pei Hey, Tov Reish Pei Vov, Tov Reish Pei Zayin, Tov Reish Pei Ches, Tov Reish Pei Tes. 7 years. In the 7th year, they got married. Similar also in this week's Parsha, Yaakov waited 7 years to marry his wife. Another final hint, very interesting thing, based on what the Rebbe himself said in the Sikha, Tov Shin Mem Tes, the Shabbos right before Chofov was Yud Ches of that time, Parshas Ekev, and the Rebbe mentioned over there that my father was the 7th generation from the Alter Rebbe. And the Alter Rebbe was the 7th generation from the Maharal Meprag, who comes from Dovid HaMelech. The 7th generation from the Alter Rebbe goes like this. The Alter Rebbe was number 1. His daughter was the Verleah, Rebbetzin the Verleah. The third was the Tzemach Tzedek. The Tzemach Tzedek's oldest son was Baruch Shalom. Baruch Shalom had a son, Rebbe Levi Yitzchok. Rebbe Levi Yitzchok had a son called Rabbi Baruch Shneur, and Baruch Shneur had the Rebbe's father, Rabbi Levi Yitzchok. So the Rebbe's father was the 7th generation from the Alter Rebbe. And it comes out like this: our Rebbe is the 7th Nossi, the 7th Rebbe from the Alter Rebbe. The Rebbe's father was the 7th generation, and this is the interesting hint, beginning of the Parsha. Yitzchok Yaakov. Yaakov goes on the Chosin. He left to find his Kala. Yaakov goes on a hint on the Rebbe that also he went out. From where? Number 1, he left his father's house. His father was called what? Yitzchok. Also over here, Levi Yitzchok. Be'er Sheva, from the 7th Be'er, 7. Number 7, he left from the house of this Rabbi Yitzchok, who was the 7th generation from the Alter Rebbe. So all these beautiful hints about the Rebbe's Chasna. I'll just conclude what I heard once. A very interesting thing that the Rebbe, his father, Rebbe Levi, got up at the Chasana in Yekaterinoslav, the night of the wedding, and he got up with a cup of l'chaim, and he said these words: the Chosin comes from the city called Dnepropetrovsk. The Kala came from, the wedding is going to be in Varsha. When the Frierdiker came out of Russia, at that time, the Kala traveled from Riga. And by the way, the Sheva Brachas, Yutas Kislev, they went back from Varsha, from Warsaw, the wedding, they went to Sheva Brachas in Riga, where the Frierdiker was at that time staying. So the Kala came from Riga. Put these three letters together, Dnepropetrovsk, Varsha. Riga spells out the word Doir, Dalet Vovresh. Rabbi Levi Yitzchok said that they should be gebenched, mit Doir Yeshorim Yevoirach. And this is the beautiful generation that we see that the Rebbe built, the brachas that he received from his holy father, Rabbi Levi Yitzchok.